This week's episode of Sword Art Online 2 was getting in the spirit of the holiday season. This might as well have been the SAO2 Christmas special. And it's not that far-fetched. They've actually fought a monstrous Santa Claus before. And just like chestnuts roasting on an open fire, this week's episode was something of a slow burn. But if you're a big fan of Sword Art Online, it's gonna hit you right in the feels. But if you were expecting a big fat action fest, you're going to be disappointed. But there were still some great things about this episode. First, I didn't expect to get all, nostalgic about the fact that both Kirito and Asuna were actually going to return to their log cabin on floor 22 of New Aincrad. And when they finally get there, it's a very beautiful scene. In fact, it's teased immediately at the beginning of the episode because all of the main cast members are hanging out at their old log cabin, it's snowing, and it just gives off that whole holiday vibe, which actually I really like a lot. It really gets me excited for the holidays, and it just looks beautiful. It is worth noting that all the backgrounds and the artwork this week looks really top-notch, especially during the snowy scenes. The main thing to take away from this week's episode is that there's a brand new player in ALO, and they have the ability to beat Kirito. I did not intend for that to rhyme. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. This new player goes by the name of Zekken, or Absolute Sword. And this Zekken player actually has this sword ability which allows them to hit 11 times. If you don't know the rules of Sword Art Online, that's really meaningless, and I didn't know what they were at all because they never get into them, but they do explain that apparently the number before that was 8 hits, so 11 is more than 8. Ipso facto, everybody wants this sword skill. And this Zekken is going to be challenging everybody one-on-one, and if they win, they get the sword skill. But so far, no one has been able to beat Zekken yet. And that includes the main characters such as Leafa and even Kirito. They couldn't even handle him. And what's really interesting here is this starts to bring up the fact that this player might actually be someone from SAO. But that's actually not the case. At the end of the episode, they reveal that this is an entirely brand new player. The mystery of who Zekken actually is going to be, I think, is really what's going to drive this arc and make it kind of interesting. And it is worth noting that in the intro, there are some brand new characters which are shown off. Same song, new characters, and I think there is going to be something of a twist with this Zekken character, because in all of the scenes they show this Zekken, it's this, big buff dude. But if you watch the intro, there is a female character who is using a sword which looks suspiciously like the one that he is using, and they really focus on that character a little bit, so Zekken might actually be that female character, but that's just my guess right there. There's a few others who also pop up, but I'm not really sure what their role is going to be. They all seem to have their own specific weapons, and I don't even know where that's going, because they really only start the arc of this episode at the very end, but still, that's the way it is. So what's the rundown? On this week's episode of Sword Art Online 2, it was okay. It was a very nice-looking episode. I thought it was very atmospheric. I just wish they could have gotten to the actual next arc a little quicker instead of waiting until the last 5 minutes to do that. But still, if you're a fan of the relationship of Kirito and Asuna, you're really going to dig all of the scenes with them. They actually are very heartwarming, especially when they finally return to the floor 22 and they fly to the cabin and Yui transforms into her normal size form, and literally it's like the family has just arrived home. If you've really been attached to these characters, it's probably going to hit you right here and maybe even make you shed a tear. I just rhymed again! There was even a little bit of action this week. There was a scene where they were fighting against this massive stone golem that looked like something out of Super Mario Brothers and The Legend of Zelda. And there was a great scene where Asuna got to kick its ass a little bit with a little help from her friends. But honestly, my favorite thing about this week's episode was the artwork. I really loved all of the backgrounds. It was very atmospheric and beautiful, and it really just gave off that whole holiday, Christmassy vibe, which I really think is hard to capture sometimes. But now I'm really looking forward to Christmas. I cannot wait. And just, I loved how they went from, the fall setting of floor 22, and then the snow finally started to fall. Just, it was a very nice episode. It'll make you feel good, and at the end of the episode, it's also getting ready to start this brand new arc, going up against Zekken, the Absolute Sword. So it was still a pretty good episode, and if you're a fan of the series, you should definitely check it out. It wasn't my favorite episode. I think it moved a little too slow, but its artwork, its atmosphere, and the promise of this brand new arc are pretty exciting, so I'm going to give this week's episode a 3 out of 5. Check it out, fans of the series. You'll probably dig it. Thank you guys for watching my review. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Before you guys leave, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Sword Art Online 2. What did you think of Asuna and Kirito and Yui finally returning home to floor 22? And what do you want to see from the rest of this mysterious new arc? Before you guys leave, please subscribe to our channel if you have not already, and you guys can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter.